Hey everybody. Hey everybody. I'm assuming you can hear or see and hear. Easy fix. Easy fix. So we're early in the morning. It's the breakfast show, depending on where you live. And today we're going to talk about a little bit about to pick or not to pick. And I just want to share a revelation I had way back after I had been playing for about, probably 6 months, 7 months. So yeah, I had been playing about 6 or 7 months, and right, so I had been how do you make this thing stop? Wow, what a process today. This has been a rough morning for me, folks. Nothing seems to be going right. So, anyways, about 6 or 7 months into my playing, I realized, probably a little too quick, that I wasn't sounding very good. And, there's one thing about comparing yourself to others. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think you got to be pretty careful, especially in the early going, because we can't possibly sound at 6 months of playing. We can't sound like someone who's been playing for years, even though that person may not be still at the top of their game, because even a few years on guitar isn't really a lot, if you want to get to a certain level. But it's still not, it's not a good thing to compare yourself to other people, because again, you don't know their background, you don't know what they've put into this, you don't know their experience level. So, but we do it anyways. And one of the biggest things I found, look, I was very happy playing chords. My chords were sounding good. I was playing my C's and D's and G's and E minors and A minors. And for the most part, this was not an issue. And this was not an issue, right? The issue was, no, I hate Stairway to Heaven. Thanks. Sorry. And the issue was how it sounded. Now, this is generally what I'm talking about. Now, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but this is what it sounded like to my ears. Okay? Now, I don't know how that came out on your end, okay? But it should have come out, it should have been sort of harsh or, yeah, harsh, okay? So everything that I was doing there, the left hand was doing a good job, and the right hand was actually, it was playing a strumming pattern, and it was strumming the proper strings associated with that chord. The problem was there was no, which I know what it is now, touch and feel. That was the problem, right? So I didn't know at the time, or I didn't realize at the time, that developing, and I think I did a video on this, developing the touch and feel part of the strumming it is the last piece of the puzzle that falls into place. It's almost like the pinky toe, right at the end of the line, there's that little pinky that finishes it off. That's your touch and feel. The big toes do all the grunt work. The medium toes support the big toes. And then that little guy is right on the end. He's like the last person in line. That's the touch and feel of your strumming, in my opinion. So here I was 6-7 months in, playing songs, playing chords. Okay, now I wasn't polished because I wasn't doing at this point what I tell everybody that follows me to do, which is polish your open chords. Make sure that they're really sounding good before you take on a new technique, because it'll just set you back to beginner status in the first year that you learn techniques. You don't have the base yet, right? The guitar foundation. So here I was getting all that, and I was playing, but I couldn't understand why I didn't sound like other people. And it was really simple. It was because I was too heavy-handed on my strumming. I had no feel, no touch and feel. So one day, I was doing my usual practice. I still remember the song that I was using to practice on at the time, and it went like this. It went... two simple chords. It was the beginning of a song, and it was these chords here, D major 7, which is just a little bar on those 3 strings, and up to the G. But it just sounded so harsh. And then I got the, can you quieten down out there? I'm sure we've all gotten that at some point in our early guitar playing journey. And so what I did instinctively was I went, oh, okay, and I put the pick down. And then I played, so before I show you, I just want to do it one more time. Now, I'm going to play it the way I would have played this in my first 6 or 7 months of playing guitar, okay? Now, to my ear, I know it's going through all the wires and out through the worldwide interweb and everything. So it may kind of calm down a bit by the time you hear this, but in my ears, man, that's just horrible. That's just the strings are just bronzing out, they're making that, it's horrible. So anyways, that night, I put the pick down, and I went like this. Now, you can hear the difference right off the bat in just the pure volume, right? You can hear that just, I mean, you can hear the difference. So all of a sudden, my ears perked up because, you know what? Like, it sounded not bad. Now, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just using my thumb to brush the strings, right? But boy, did it ever sound good. And then I applied it to some of the other songs that I was learning. Just little back and forth things. And I thought, you know what? It's a bit low, but boy, does it ever sound nice. And then a few other things started to happen. So all of a sudden, I didn't have to worry about the landing, where my pick landed. You know how you're supposed to, if you're playing a C chord, you got to play 5 strings all the way down. If you're playing a G or an E, you're playing all 6, and 5 and 4 and all that kind of stuff. And that's something you build up naturally, right? So first of all, for a lot of people, that's very difficult because you're required to get that little thin part of the pick in between 2 strings that you're not looking at, that you're kind of just going by instinct, like where they are. And when again, in your first year, you may not have that built up yet. So all of a sudden, I didn't have to worry about that because the thumb can kind of just land in that general area, the fleshy part of the thumb, and it sounds just fine. Right? So I didn't have to worry about exactly. So that frees up. Remember what I told you? Everything in guitar that you have to think about slows you down. Okay? So think about this. If you have to think about how to fret that chord properly, then you have to think, how am I going to strum that chord? Right? Then you have to think, where's my thumb got to land? So there's 3 things that I'm thinking about just to play my G chord. And then when you want to switch to a C chord, you got to rethink where I got to be here, where I got to be with my thumb, what's the strumming pattern, okay? How hard or aggressive do I play the strings? Like, there's so many things. And then maybe you're singing. So now you got to think about your singing voice. Are you matching the output, the voicing of the guitar? Then you got to think of the lyrics. Then you got to think about how the song you're going to present it, right? So there's all these things. So some of you that have been around computers a long time will probably understand this. It's almost like back in the day, Windows 95, in that era. So back in the day, antivirus, got to have an antivirus. So you'd buy and load this Norton antivirus or McAfee or whatever it was. And it kind of seemed that everything was slower now, because what you've asked your computer to do has to be kind of run through a filter, which, even though it may be milliseconds, it's slower, right? When you're thinking about what you have to do on the guitar, you're going to be slower. And God forbid, if you're one of those that has to read the songs that you want to play. I remember Anton from Denmark. How are you? Were you the Stairway to Heaven person? Yeah, I don't. I hate Stairway to Heaven. I mean, it's one of those songs that is such a classic. I've heard it so many times that I just can't stand it. But I remember you, Anton. Um, I remember the name for sure. So, how are you? Um, so, again, the more we have to think about things, it slows us down and it stops us from being natural. And that, as I've said before, and I say it quite often, that is often the major difference between sounding good on your guitar and sounding okay, is again playing like nobody's watching. So when I put my pick down, what happened was I just found it easier to process all this information. And I just didn't have to worry too much. All I was really doing, to be honest, when you're picking a C and a G, again, you've got to be careful about where you start your pick and all that kind of stuff, how hard your throw. When I put the pick down, it became like all I was doing was just randomly brushing the side of my thumb along the strings as I did my chord progressions. That's it. And it sounded so much softer and more musical. And I'm like, holy jumping. Nice. Nice. Good for you, buddy. That's awesome. And I think you're young, so, you'll pick things up really quick. And good for you. That's good to hear. Um, so, when you start hearing things differently and what you hear sounds better, right away, like I didn't play with a pick again for probably months. And I just started. Now, what this did, in my opinion, it took the pressure off. Like it was a couple of less things that I had to think about when I was practicing my guitar. And I found that instantly I became a better song player. So then all of a sudden I was able to play these songs. Yes, even bar chords. Right? And it just became easy. And everything sounded good. And that's a perfect example of what I often say is that if you pick up your guitar every day when you're trying to learn all these difficult things and you sound terrible every day, well, you're not going to have the incentive to continue. And your brain is going to be always nagging on you, telling you, look, you're not very good. You're not good at this. You might as well quit. And it's a constant struggle. Our confidence lacks and we're a mess, right? But when you like what you're doing, when it sounds good, yeah, I remember you being young, and I remember, I remember mentioning about the guitar journey that you have ahead of you. If you want to be a professional, you've got that 10,000 hours ahead of you to learn and really work on your trade. That's standard with all things that you master, whether it's an art, a craft, a skill, a trade, an occupation. You're generally considered a master of your craft at about 10,000 hours, including schooling and apprenticeshiping and things like that. So on the guitar, you've often probably heard me say that, hey, if you want to be a pro, okay, you got to put in those 10,000 hours. And that may sound like not much, but when you break it down, if you just play an hour a day, that's only 365 hours a year. You still got, 3 years to go to get your 1,000 hours. And then you need, oh my God, 10,000 hours. Think of the amount of time. So then it becomes, well, of course, I'm not going to play at 17, 18, 16, 14, 21. I'm going to play more than an hour a day. Absolutely. So now we go to 2 and 3 hours a day. And that's where you really need to be, at 3 to 4 hours a day, because now you're really getting on that treadmill of towards the 10,000 hours, so that when you're still a young, respectable age, you could possibly be in a situation where you have mastered your guitar. You could, I mean, I'm going to throw names out like Stevie Ray Vaughan and, Stephen Stills from way back, and just guys that are just good guitar players. You're well on your way at that age, right? So that's cool. So I hope you keep in touch and make sure you let us know your progress. And if you want to send along any clips of your stuff, that you're comfortable and confident in, send it along, and I will post it on my community. I don't know what they call it now. It used to be called the community tab. It's my way of messaging my subscribers, I think, and giving stuff for the subscribers. So if you want, I'll definitely put a clip of you playing out as someone who used to come to our open sessions here. So that's up to you, Anton. But I'm glad to hear that you're taking it seriously and moving up that ladder of success and apprenticeship. So, again, so now we're at sounding good. Now I'm sounding good, and I'm doing the same thing, right? I'm still playing my G, C's, and D's, and my E minors, and my A minors, and I think, whatever, all my open chords, basically, and they just sounded so much better. So now I started playing exclusively without a pick because I was playing on my own for the most part, and then I found that when I went out to play, so when I started going to other people's, whether it would be a party at a house or to an open mic or a gathering out in a public place, then all of a sudden I had a jolt of reality, because all of a sudden nobody could hear me. So if you're playing with your thumb like this, now you can hear me because I'm mic'd up here, right? But the reality is, you got to really dig in. Now you can by using your nails, right? So you can use the tips of your nails, something like that. You can get your thumb in there, drag your thumbnail across the strings. You can get a bit of volume. But the reality is, if you're in even a small room and there's nobody there, just you, no problem. If there are 6 people in there and they're all paying attention to you, no problem. If there are 6 people in there and they're talking about last night's movie and what they're doing for dinner tomorrow and who they saw the other day, all of a sudden, you are drowned out. So can you imagine in a bigger room with more people? Like, they can't hear you. And I made the mistake of trying to be heard one time. And so I'm in this room with no amplification, like no mic'd up. It's acoustic. And it's a big room, there's a lot of people, and I'm trying to play like this. And I realize nobody can hear me. So what do? Start pounding on the guitar even harder. Half hour later, I'm sore. My thumb is sore. By the end of the night and in the morning, I got a big fat bubble blister right on the end of my thumb from, So you got to remember that if you want to play like this, it's going to sound beautiful, but nobody's going to hear you. So you're going to have to be mic'd up. You're going to have to be amplified, or you're going to have to be in a spot, an area, or what would you call it, a surrounding that, hello, Randy. You'll have to be in a surrounding that allows for you to be heard. So you're going to have to be in a very acoustic, reverb lit area, and you're going to have an audience that is completely focused on you and not conversation. So that's the issue. Now, once you start plugging yourself in, yeah, you can do things. You can crank volumes up and stuff like that, and you can be heard. I've often played gigs, not the whole gig, but I've often gone and played my 1 hour or whatever it is, 2 hour set, and I've played half and half. right? And I simply turn things up when I put the pick down. So you're going to have to be aware of that, right? But other than that, hello, Istanbul. Hello from Canada. Just be prepared. But other than that, this is a great way to play. And it's a great way to take the harshness out of your playing right away. Now, that's the pro side of it, is that it will make you sound better like that. The minute you do this, at 6 months, 7 months, 5 months, a year, year and a half, wherever you are, the minute you do that, and you put that pick down, you sound smooth. Especially if you've been at it for almost a year, because you're probably playing songs and you probably got your guitar foundation, like you got a good synergy between the two hands. You take that pick out of the equation, and you're going to find right away you jump. And why is that? Well, as I explained earlier, it's because the touch and feel part of the strum. Remember, there's technical parts of the strum. Up, down, one, and, two, and all that. That's the technical part, right? Combined with where we have to start the strum on the string set, whether it's the 5th string, the 4th string, the whatever. We can mellow all that. That's what you get rid of that pick and you are sounding really good. However, the day you put your pick down is the day that you stop progressing with your pick. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, because in the long run, for most of us, we're probably better off being a pretty good pick guitar player. It just makes you more versatile. It definitely, for those of you that want to get into playing scales, and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely going to be a lot easier on you. You'll be able to pick a sharper note. You'll be able to make those notes sound better. But you can still do the same with your thumb. If you start implementing, or with your fingers, if you start implementing a few things. So we now know that the pros to dropping your pick or putting it down are you will sound softer right away. So if you've got every other part of your strum down, like you got a good strumming rhythm hand, right? And you're hitting all your proper chords, and your left hand doesn't need to be babysat, so you can just let her go and know it's going to be there. Drop your pick and see how you like it, okay? For those of you that don't drop your pick, or for those of you that want to continue on with a pick, you made a great choice. However, you have to understand that this will be the last thing to fall into place. Now, 2 other little things about it. There's not much you can do physically to make your pick sound softer, other than go to a lighter pick. Now, this is somewhere around a late 40, like 0.48, 0.50 maybe, of a millimeter. This green one, it goes down about 8, so it's probably, I think this is about a 41 or a 42. I might be wrong, but I'm not far off. And it's much, much bendier, softer, okay? You can go even down again. You can get picks. They're usually white, that are so, they're almost like paper. They're so, now look, you will hear them going across the strings. It'll be like, for some of you at a certain age, when we used to put the sports cards with clothes pegs in our spokes of our 10-speed bike with the curly handlebars and the little seat and everything. And they would go like a roulette wheel or whatever, to crown an anchor, as the wheel went around. Now, that's what you're going to sound like with a really, really paper pick. But you know what? That's a good starting point. You start with a really, really, really bendy pick. And then every few weeks, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever you feel, you go up to the next level of pick. Okay? And each time you do that, you might just temporarily find that you sound a little harsh again. But you just keep at it. Okay? There is no technique to take out harshness other than going to a wispier pick. And that's no guarantee, because you're going to trade in one rough sound for something a little more, which is like that sound I mentioned. Tick, 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 that it's you're going to hear your string, your pick going over each string, right? So yeah, yeah, and well, most people start with a pick because they're told to. That's the reality, right? I did. I just assumed that you couldn't play guitar without a pick, so I just started using a pick. And I got off to a good start. I think most of you were the same, but then it hit a wall. And basically, I was not patient enough to continue every day meticulously thinking about my pressure, okay, on the strings, my attack on the strings. Should I have been? Whatever. But again, the more you focus on that, if your other parts of your game aren't solid, the more you think about how you're attacking the strings, the more apt you are to hit the wrong strings or to make a mistake on your fretting hand because all of your energy, you know what I mean? Okay, so generally, your best bet is to take that pick from beginning right through to the point where you can play softly and comfortably. But I will warn you, for some of you, it could take years to develop that beautiful sound. So now, what we've done is we've sped up that process. But now, again, we've accepted the cons. The people can't hear us. You're a little bit limited as to what you can do and how you can play, right? Yeah, yeah, you do need a bit of fingernails for sure. You don't have to. You can play, like you can play with just the flesh. So right now I'm plucking these strings with the flesh of my finger and my thumb, or I'm just using my thumb, and then I use my finger up like that, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And there's that example of, I'm plugged in and everything, but still I'm so weak, right? Now, if I just play that same lick like this, see the difference? It's so much nicer, it's clearer, the tone is better, everything is better when you use your pick properly. There's just no way around that, okay? And then when it comes to digging in, you can easily you can, okay. So pros and cons, right? All right. So what can we do if you want to continue with a pick, but you want a softer sound? Well, we can go to a lower gauge pick, okay? Absolutely. Sure. Well, sure. Yeah, Jeff Beck is another one with no pick. And Mike, is it Mike Doan? I can't see from here. Yes, yes, he did. He's probably up to about a few 100,000 by now, I would think, as far as hours go. But I will show you, Mike, a basic starting off finger pattern or the philosophy to picking. Absolutely, that's what we're going to kind of get to. So my last point on the pick is of what we can physically do to mellow out our strumming with a pick. So the first thing was, again, go to a lower pick. Now that might not please everybody because it's a different feel when you play the strings. Secondly, if you are someone that likes to also play some scales beyond or notes beyond one or two notes, like, okay, if you're doing this, something like that, okay, you could get by. But if you're doing any scales or playing lead or riffs or anything, you're going to find that a real thin pick is just, it's frustrating. It's almost like you want something to do something, but there's a delay before you hear the sound of what you're doing. It's really, really frustrating, okay? So you got to think of that, right? So, uh, um, that's the big thing, right? So, what can we do other than that? Well, we can implement something called palm muting. Okay, so I've covered this in videos before. We've talked about it here on live, right? But I think a lot of you know that there's so many new people joining us all the time. You got to be a little bit repetitive. So here's a regular strum. I'm strumming a G chord. I'm gonna dig in a little bit. So this should start getting a little louder. Yeah, 20 million. Okay, so this should sound a little harsh and loud. It's still a G. You can hear some of the you can hear the strings, but it's harsh. Now, I'm playing at the same, I'm putting the same attack on those. I'm being very exaggerative here, but I'm putting the same attack there. You hear the difference? So this is a great way to muzzle your strumming with a pick. Because remember, as a beginner, almost all of us, if some of you got into the palm mute early, maybe a buddy showed you, you're way ahead of the game. But for most of us, didn't even know what that was. So here we are every day doing this when we could be sounding like this, but we just didn't know. So what am I doing? Well, it's simple. I'm basically, if you Google this on the inner Google, you're going to get everybody's interpretation of how to do it. But at the end of the day, the concept is the same, right? Is we are going to use either the inner or outer. I generally use the outer part of this fleshy part of our palm to dampen the strings. So what that means is I'm actually doing this as I'm playing my strings, okay? So how that looks then is something like this. Let me see if I want to make sure I can get Now, without the palm down, there's what I sound like. With the palm down, hear the difference? Now, I can let that go if I want. If I want a little texture. Okay? Now, once I started doing this, game changer. 100% game changer. Because now you can let your emotion get the best of you. For those of you that are playing songs and you've been playing songs now for a little bit and you're really starting to figure out around that song and how to make it sound good and the proper strumming and all that, now you got another tool that you can without it, with it. Let it ring out, I can kill it. So you'll see some people tell you that, and rightly so, start with a karate chop over the bridge here, and then just tilt your hand forward so that your palm is still on the string, and play like this. There you go. It's the same idea, right? But some of you, again, the problem with, following things by the book is it may not work for all of you because it may be uncomfortable, or it may not allow you at this point to strum and keep your palm where it needs to be. So just feel free to jiggle it around to get a comfort level where you can strum all the strings, and you don't even have to just go on one chord. Go a G or an E and just strum it so you get some sort of voicing out of it. And then it takes a little time, and just figure out the sound that you like. Think of it as a volume knob. How much volume do you want to come through your strumming? And the beauty of this is, as I was going to say earlier, when you get into a song and you let your emotions get away and you're on the chorus, there's a really high likelihood that you dig in more. right, for the chorus. And it can start, you can lose control. The palm muting allows you to instinctively bring everything back down to where it needs. So palm muting and picking with a pick should go hand in hand. Whether you use it or how much, think of it like reverb in a way. Do you just turn the reverb on to a certain level the whole time and play? Or do you adjust it according to the song you're playing, or the room that you're in, or how many people are in that room, or how you want to sound that specific night? You have some options. So think of palm muting like that. Is you can go into something bare. Rely on your sense of touch. Or you can have this palm muting, but you can just put it on 1. Now you want to get it into 2, 4, 8, whatever. You can quiet that sucker down all the way to like literally like that. Okay? So that's a good tip if you think you're just too loud with your pick, right? Yeah, strumming is what everybody, Rob, is working on. It's a toughie. Um, it's one of those things that people think, I did anyways, that once I've played a few chords, that strumming doesn't matter. Because it's all about the chords, because songs are made of chords. And I thought that for the longest time. Until after the second time I quit. So now I'm 2.5 years, really gotten nowhere. Yeah, I can play some songs. Yeah, I can play some chords, but I wasn't very good. Some will say I'm still not very good, but you know what I mean? I just wasn't, for what I put into this, if I look at anything else in my life that I've ever done, and I sit back after 2.5 years, right? I guarantee you there was nothing that I would say, man, I still suck. I'm still shit. I'm nowhere near him or her or them. I'm not. Only this has been the only time in my life, that I've learned something and had to sit back after 2.5 or 3 years and go, I'm still shit. Right? So, because I didn't realize the importance of strumming, and I didn't realize that strumming is everything. It is everything because there's only so many chords. That's it. What is there, 8, 9 chords? Whatever. That's it. And then there's all the derivatives of those 9 chords. A minor, A major, A7, A major 7, A diminished, A suspended, A augmented, A this, A that, A this. But it's just an A. And like I've always told you, just play an A. That's all you need. Whereas strumming, it's never about one thing. That's why I always tell you the strumming patterns are just templates. Trust me, you will not be strumming your guitar the way you do now or did in year 1 as you do or did in year 5, 6, and 10, and 12. It is going to be completely different. And coincidentally or not, you're going to then look at yourself and go, man, I'm pretty good. And people are going to look at you and go, this guy's a good guitar player. Oh, she's great, man. Look at her. It's so smooth. Well, the chords are still the same as day 1. It's this that makes a difference. So we've got to start working on this early. Now, I'll get to your pick pattern or finger picking. Look, there's something called Travis picking. You can Google it. I tried it. I'm more into it now than I was when I started. I found it too difficult. Okay. Remember I said earlier about all these things you got to think about? And when you play guitar or do anything for that matter, you get in your car, if you got to think about every single thing you do, you're going to drive like this. Okay. When you're relaxed and it just comes second nature, you're driving like this. Okay, same with guitar. So at first, the Travis picking assigns fingers to strings. So I believe your thumb is responsible for playing 6 and 5 string. Your first finger is 4 and 3, and then so on down here for these fingers, right? That's the general. You'll see people playing like this. They're Travis picking. I found that, of course, I wasn't patient, because at this point I'm firing bullets trying to find something that'll make me sound like a half-decent guitar player. So I must admit that I was very impatient, and if I couldn't get it within a couple of days, which I couldn't with the Travis picking system, then I started getting down on myself, and I just said, oh, this sucks. I'll just go back to the pick. And then, like I said, it all happened in the same kind of time frame where I just picked up I just went like this. And I'm like, shit, that sounds so nice and smooth. Like, why am I using a pick? And so I kind of developed my own system. So here's how I play most of the time when I'm on my own without a pick. And I mean, I guess I don't know how that sounded, but what it's meant to sound is I play more often without a pick than I do with a pick. And in fact, I only generally play with a pick for these shows because it helps with just sounding better over the intergoogle. And or if I'm doing a gig or if I'm playing acoustically in front of a lot of people in a room, like 7 or 8 people drinking, talking, whether they're part of the jam or not, it's loud, and I got to use a pick. Okay? Other than that, this is the way I play. Now, I started out, left hand is the same. Okay? So all the chords, we'll use, let's use A, E, D as an example. So here's my E, and I started out just that. One thumb, brushing. So if I'm playing an E, the same rules, I got to play all the strings. So I brush 6 strings. When I go to A, I brush 5 strings. Back to the G or E, all 6 strings, okay? So I work on, now all I got to think about now is my pattern. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, right? That's whatever pattern I'm playing. So that's the sound I'm getting just from the side of my thumb, no nails, nothing, going through all the strings. Okay? Now, I realized it was restrictive. And I then realized what the Travis picking does is that it allows you this stuff. See hear what's going on now? But I still couldn't do it. So that's where my finger came in. So this is what I use right here. First finger and thumb, pretty much exclusively. So down and ups, regular strumming patterns are done with my thumb. To kind of break it up a little bit, so we'll use this song. Da, 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 da. What I do is I come up with this finger. So I go down with the thumb. Okay, so if I'm playing a G chord, down with the thumb, and I know I got a G right here on this finger here, I flick that note, G note, G chord, G note on the way up. So, and I don't do it every time, you can. Now I create some sort of like, well, I create something with that G chord. It's not a regular G, like it just sounds different. Now, if I want, I can target, when you get good, the B string and pick the B up. The G, I can target anything with practice, right? On the way up. So once again, that's up, down, up, down, up, down. Every now and then use the finger. So I'm exaggerating my hand, so I hope you can follow it, but it's down, and then I just hit that G note right there, up, down, up, down, up. Now, when you get a little better and you want a little more texture, right? When you want a little volume, then what I do is I turn this finger over and flick down. So, okay, what did I do there? Started off with the fleshy part of my thumb, picking out those notes. Then, because I wanted instant in your face that this can't do it, I did this. Right? So the back of my nail, and I don't grow long nails, I don't put acrylic nails on or nothing like that. I try not to, I try to keep them just there, right? And I use the back of it to brush down. And then adjust according. So in this little riff that I just played, now when I go to the strum, I put my two fingers together. It looks like I'm holding a pick. But what I'm doing is I'm using the nail on that finger, and sometimes in conjunction with the nail on that thumb. So it looks like I'm playing with a pick. See? So now I can strum softly with the side of my thumb. I can dig in coming up with the fleshy part of my finger. I could dig in coming up with the nail of my finger. I can rake the nail over those strings going down or pick them coming up. Okay? Or I can join the two together. When I play this way with no pick, but I got my fingers together, it's pretty much the loudest you can get. So I implement some palm muting as well. Like that. So now I got control of the volume. If I wasn't palm muting, remember we did that with the pick earlier on? Well, I'm doing the same technique even though I'm playing without a pick. I'm using my nails. So just to recap, the difference between what I'm doing and what you will find on the inner Google if you search Travis picking, is I'm really not using these two fingers here. Well, maybe even these three fingers. I'm really just using this. I mean, yeah, it continues to evolve. And there's no doubt as you get more comfortable, you might use this finger because it's there, and you know it's there, and you've got the right nail, and you know the string, and it's there. You might as well pick it out. There's a couple of songs where I pinch, right? So if I'm playing a G, right? She says it is cold outside. Hand me a raincoat. Now, as I'm digging in like heck here in this part of that song, but I got my palm mute on. Right now, if I didn't have the palm mute on, it gets pretty loud, and then you can lose control of the strings, and they start vibrating and making all kinds of weird sounds, right? So again, it's in conjunction with the palm mute. So if you are having, hello, Ballsy, Betsy or Butsy, I'm not sure, I can't see that from here. Yeah, kind of did, eh? Yeah, sure. I agree with you. 300 A's. Where do they get these names from? Film's masterpiece. I'm glad they asked. Oh, nice. Yeah, you're getting some pretty good experience there, Anton. That's what it's all about. Good for you. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that. I hope that helped. Finger picking guy. I hope that helped. The Travis picking is great, but sometimes, just like my approach to things like using metronomes when you start out, it's very valuable. It's very recommended. But don't worry if you can't play to a metronome right away, because nobody can. It's very difficult. It's like doing this. Some people can do this in 10 seconds. Other people, they got to play around with it for hours before they can pat their head and rub their belly. It's just the way we're built. Anything like Travis picking or any technique on guitar, I've often said, is the same thing. As soon as you learn something new, you're a newbie like this again. Whether it's only for 10 seconds, 10 hours, or 10 days, eventually you'll be able to do it, right? So Travis picking is the same. If you're patient, plow on with it. And it's the same idea as what I'm doing. You're just using different fingers, okay? And I actually find it more for strict picking. So meaning there's Travis style picking. Sort of a weak attempt, but it's there. Using all my fingers, plucking all the strings. This is how I started playing the same way. I feel I can get to the same strings in the same speed to recreate the same feel as Travis picking. And I can easily convert into a strum. Back into a pick. This is my way. Okay? If you can see, I'm only using, it looks like I'm using these fingers, but I'm not. I'm using thumb and first finger. Right? And again, that's not going to happen day one. Day one, you're going to sound good. You're going to sound okay, but you won't sound anywhere near like anything until you put some time into it. And so don't be discouraged the way I did with Travis picking. If I had stayed with it, put my nose to the grindstone, but at that time in my playing, like many of you here, which is why my overall big picture message and the consistent message that I send to people that want to play guitar, do not get distracted and go all over the place. Learn this one day and that the other day, and then that week later, and this. One thing, dedicate your time, your mind, and all your practice to it. Whether it's just learning 2 chords to go transition from one chord to another, or it's a complicated scale, or it's an arrangement on a song, whatever it is. Don't put in 20 minutes, a half hour one day, and then maybe 2 days later the same, and then nothing, right? What's that? Well, I don't think I'll be getting $1,000, but I don't like to play. Oh, yes, Anton. Hold on a second. Let me explain that. Let me explain that comment. First of all, yeah, I don't like to play covers because it messes up the copyright. And in these instructional videos, if I have to blank or mute out a certain area, then you lose everything and it doesn't make sense anymore. I just delete it. But what are you going to do? I play it with a capo. metronome. Let me just clear let me just clear um, let me just clear out or clear that statement up. Okay, so yes, they always tell you to play to a metronome when you're starting, and if you can do it, get on it. But the key word there was if you can do it, because like I just said, whenever you try something new on guitar, you're back here trying to figure this out, because that's what this is. I've often said this isn't about music at our level. This is about this, building the motor skills you need to play this instrument. If your hands don't work together and you don't have an ear built up that you know when you've done something wrong, so you don't continue playing it wrong, so it continues sounding terrible, then yeah, there's not much you're going to be able to do. And definitely not right away. So turning a metronome on day 3, think about this. For all of you that are not in day 3 anymore, you're in day 33 or 53 or 143, okay? Think about what it was like in that first week of picking up the guitar. I mean, it was just brutal chaos. I mean, you didn't know what was going on. Now, not only do you not know what's going on and you can't play you don't know what's going on, but now, for some way, you have to learn how to play it to a click. A judge that says every time you play a downbeat, you got to be on that click, or else we take the rest. Well, we start thinking, oh, or else this is why I'll never be able to play guitar. This is why I'm not a musician. This is why I can't do this, because you got to be able to be a musician to understand things like this, to be able to play the guitar. And this is why I can't do this, because I'm not coordinated enough to listen and do what, blah, 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 blah. And all these excuses start coming out in your head as to why you're reaffirming your initial suspicion that you cannot play guitar because you're not a lifelong musician. Now, I'm not talking someone who's 16. I'm talking about people that are 40, 50, 60, 70. You think, well, I haven't done this my whole life. I can't do this. You have to be born with this. There's something. But that's just not true. You can train yourself. So remember, all this is going through our heads when we're starting out. And when I put that click on, and I started to, as simple as it is now, I couldn't do it. And I kept listening, and because remember, when we're starting out, our brain is focused on one thing at a time. When you start learning a sport, your brain focuses on one skill at a time. You don't see the big picture. When you're learning to drive a car, your brain is focused on keeping that car straight in the lane. You're not thinking, looking anywhere else about anything else, right? You got to build up that comfort level. So starting too soon with a metronome, what it did for me was it reinforced the idea that I can't play guitar. So I turned the metronome off and I continued on, and everything was about, I can't really do this, so I'm not going to be surprised when I fail. It's not a matter of if I fail, it's a matter of when I fail, because I'm not a musician. And that was in my brain. So adding a metronome for me did nothing but confuse me, make me feel worse, and set me back. Secondly, it's not as important as you think if you're only ever going to play on your own, which most of us here are only ever going to play on our own. Timing is so important. It's great to have. It's so important when you're recording music, when you are in a band, and you have other instrument players depending on you as you are depending on them, that you both have to hit this at the same time. You can't have this. Can't have that. It's got to be one solid boom. And that only comes when you're all in time. It's called tightness. If a band is tight, if I go see a band, and I look, the first thing I listen for is, are they tight? Are all of the chords starting at the same time or when they're supposed to? So yes, there may be a staggered effect on certain songs. That's so important. Timing. But when you're sitting alone, or if I'm gigging alone, here's what I'll often do. I'm just playing chords, but let's say this is a song. D, C, G, E minor, D. D, C, E, whatever. And I'm supposed to go back to that C, but you know what? I'm going to stay on that D because I forgot my lyrics, or I'm having a senior moment, or, I don't feel like somebody's paying attention or whatever. I'll stay on that D because I can. Because there's no bass player following me, there's no drummer I'm following, there's no keyboard player. It's just me. I can do whatever I want. Another one of my tricks or habits or whatever you want to call it when I play live is I speed up and slow down. So I girls only feed me then I might want to slow it down again. And I can do whatever I want when I'm alone. But you can't do that when you're playing with someone else. Maybe you're just a guitar player and you're just playing to one singer. They're not even playing an instrument. You still got to be timed out because you got to hit your G when she's hitting her G. You see the difference? Now, I'm not saying it's not important to be in time, but I'm going to add to this. I'm going to add one more thing. A lot of us that start playing guitar at 40 or 50, whatever, okay? Whatever, whatever age you're at, okay? We generally want to play songs that we know, that are ingrained in our psyche, that we grew up with, that marked a special occasion in our life, right? Okay. How many times have you heard that song before you decide to learn to play it? I'm guessing anywhere from 100 to 10,000 times, right? Someone says, hey, play Hotel California. All right. Well, I've heard that song so many times, like most of you, that even don't play. You know when the comes in, you know when the chord changes, you know when he starts singing, you're listening and you're going in your head, right? Right now. But really what you're doing is you're counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to the, right? Okay. So my point is, we have a sense of internal timing built up just from years and years of listening to all of our favorite songs. We know exactly when that guitar solo starts. We know exactly when, you get my point. Okay? That's not going away. So all I'm saying is, and all I recommend is, absolutely throw a metronome on. Start it slow. Make sure it's loud because you will not hear it. When you're starting out, remember your brain is just hyper-focused on one thing and you're not going to hear. So just a little side bit here. When I started going to play at a party with someone else or whatever, so I've been in my room for 6 months practicing. Now I go somewhere and I start what I've been practicing. Okay? And somebody goes, hey, that's cool, keep playing. And they pull out their guitar and they start going, to what I'm playing. And I'm like, hey, oh my God. And I stop because I'm not used to hearing things. It's freaking me out. Okay. And that's what used to happen to me. I don't know if anybody here can relate to that, but it was like, wow, and then after a while that you get over it and you start, because your brain says, okay, Ray, I got lefty and righty under control. We're strumming. I know the chords. I don't really have to think about it 100%. So let's think about other things. Okay, let's put a metronome on and see how we are. Now I'm in a position where I can hear the metronome. I'm comfortable and semi-confident that I can do this. I hear the click, 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 click. Start with the downbeats. Click, 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 click. add that up, right? And I'm able to process everything. But I couldn't do that in week 1. I just couldn't do it. If you can do it and have done it, awesome. Again, you're way ahead of the game. But that's what I meant when I've talked about this quite a bit in other lives, and I don't know if I made a video about it, but yes, of course it's important to be in time, but it's not as important as the book leads you to believe. The man. Okay, so you know how in society the man is considered a word for authoritative, overseer. I call that in music or in guitar, I call that the book. Okay, the book says you got to do this. Well, it should say the book recommends that you do this. The book says you try to do this. But if you can't do it according to the book, that does not mean you have to take your guitar and put it down. That doesn't mean that at all. It just means you're not ready for it right now. Okay? Work, playing, singing. I don't know any Tracy Chapman songs. Okay, so all right, so hello, Dennis. How can I work on playing while singing? Okay. Do you have 3 hours? I'll try to come up with the best points. All right. So obviously that's a big thing for most of us. I, like many of you, one of my goals, why I wanted to play guitar, was I wanted to also be able to sing along and play all those favorite songs, those party songs and everything else, right? And the group that I hung out with, same age, Neil Young, Cat Stevens, Carly Simon, Elton John, you name it, all those from the 70s, right? And all right, I often compare learning and playing the guitar to that of being a juggler. Okay? Why? Well, because we have one hand doing one thing, we got another hand doing another thing that we're not supposed to think about. Okay? It's got to become blood. And we have to think of things like how hard we hit the strings, the timing between chord changes. A juggler has to think how high he has to throw we'll call it a ball for now, the ball, so that he can now do something with his other hand or her other hand. And, there's that whole very similar motor skills involved, right? Okay. You get to the point where, as a juggler, it's 3 balls, right? Because anybody can do one, come on, right? And most of us can do 2. There's going to be this effect for a minute or 2, but we get it. It's that 3rd ball, okay? That's the one. Now, in guitar playing, the definition of the 3rd ball would be, okay, so we're playing this, chords. That's 2 balls, left hand and right hand, right? Now I got to do something else off that D. Back to my C, back to my D. Right? There's your 3rd ball. When you first try to do that, you got to do that in the same 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You got to stay in the tune, in the timing. So when you first try that, forget it. Ain't happening. But you keep doing it, and you get it. So now you've added a 3rd ball. in terms that you can now strum. Break that pattern in proper timing in between the chords so nobody notices that you didn't stop, you didn't slow down, you didn't miss anything. All right. Singing is the same thing. So singing is your third ball. Okay, so I'm playing, strumming with my right, chording with my left. Now I got to sing. Very difficult. So what you do, or what I did, was I started out by humming. And you'd be surprised how difficult that was. Okay, so now I'm not just making noise. I'm actually trying to hum the melody of the song I'm playing, because that forces my brain to think about things like breath, right? Getting the right amount of breath to make that whistle. And if I got to hum or whistle, whistling is another one, by the way, I was going to mention. If I have to get more breath to get that hum up here, ha, 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 ha. Okay, think about what I'm doing. My right hand and my left hand are just doing this. And I got that under control. But now, ha, ha, ha. So now my brain is focused on my voice, making a sound, but it's also got a little bit of RAM dedicated to making sure that I stay on track with my strumming. So that's a ball. Now, if I have to do something like this, ha, ha, oh yeah, now I'm going here, and I'm going there, and I'm singing, strumming, and playing little riffs. Now we've added a fourth ball. So that's one way to look at it. So no matter what you do, the first day is going to be hell. So what I would do is get the song, and again, keep it simple. Don't start trying to sing and play Stairway to Heaven or songs that are like this. Don't start there, okay? Start at Kumbaya, you know. Mama, take this badge from me. Play all downs, simplify the strumming to allow your brain power to start thinking of the singing. Don't worry about how you sound. Worry about the fact that you can just do it and get the words out over top of a strum. The rest will fall into place, just like everything else did on your journey, as you do it every day. Okay? But to start out, I would take a song that's simple, 3-4 chords, a nice easy progression, preferably with 8 beats per chord, or in most of the chord, instead of quick changes like 4s and 2s, like it's too quick at the beginning. You want something like this. That's what you want, right? So that gives you time to think about what's coming up. Start with that. Then, while you're playing those chords, hum the melody or whistle the melody. Okay? Now again, at first, that's going to be awkward. As easy as that is, it's going to be awkward. And it may not be, but it should be. But you just do it for a half hour. And come back at it the next day and do it for a half hour. And you'd be surprised how quick. So that's how you get your brain to start, dedicating some RAM, just like our computer, right? If you're doing a complicated task on an underwhelmed computer, then what happens is it throws all the RAM at it, and now it can't do anything else. So it freezes up, kind of thing. Your brain is the same. If it takes all your brain power still to play 2 chords or 3 chords, it's not the time to start adding another thing for it to do. Wait until you can play that song properly. Now start humming over it or whistling. And try to sound as good with your hum or your whistle as the melody, because that, again, forces your brain to work, takes your brain away from this, and then you'll see how in your muscle memory those chords are. And there's a good chance if you've been playing that song or that chord progression for quite some time, you'll start playing it without thinking about it. And once you do it once, all of a sudden, man, you can do this all the time. You're over that hurdle. From there, it's just repetition. Now, there's a few things I do not do when I'm singing, even now, and I've been doing it a long time. Other than a B minor and maybe an F sharp minor. Other than that, I don't play bar chords when I sing. I use a capo, not only to match my voice, but to eliminate any bar chords. So, for example, one of the songs I do in a gig would be this song here. Okay? Hands about bed of nails, man, she makes me wait and I wait for you, right? Okay. When I play that song live, I use a capo and I put it on 2 and I play synthesize and her best on me on a bed of nails, man, she makes me wait and I wait for you, right? Why? Because I can play those open chords in my sleep. I'm at that point in my journey. If you are in yours, that's great. Singing will not be a huge issue for you. It'll just be that initial clumsiness, right? But I don't want to be singing in front of people, worried about my tone and remembering the lyrics and when I start and the deliverance of the song. And then I got to worry about nailing my B minor 21 times in that song or whatever it is, or my F sharp minor, or my C sharp minor, or my A minor played in the bar, or whatever. No. So I eliminate bar chords when I sing. I don't, okay, my point here after the bar chord, that's a no-brainer. But what you'll end up doing for the first little bit is you're going to need to dummy one of them down to a level that still allows you brain power to do what you need to do. What I mean by that is, if you are not a good guitar player, but you're a really good singer, well then use your voice to cover up the fact that you're not playing maybe the chords the right way, or you're supplementing a chord, or you're using a capo, or you're not using a capo, right? And conversely, the other way around, if you're a really good guitar player and a shitty singer, then you're going to want to play your guitar at a higher level to kind of take the attention, right, as people watch you. Whereas if you don't play guitar too well, but you got a really nice voice, then you're going to want to put yourself in a position that people are going to focus on your voice and not really worry about the fact that you're not a great guitar player. So I know that's not your concern. Your concern is how do you do it by doing it. And those are just a couple of tips to keep it maybe from falling off the tracks day one. Because when things fall off the tracks day one, you tend not to jump back on. A lot of people just move on into something else, when really if you'd have just stuck it out for day 4 or 6, you're seeing something. So again, keep your guitar playing simple. Keep it to open chords. Make sure that you can play the song that you want to sing in your sleep. You should be able to wake up at 2:30 in the morning, grab your guitar in the middle of the night and play that song and have it down before you start trying to sing it. Okay? I hope that helps. It's something that, again, I can't put a time frame on. A lot of people ask me, well, how long is it going to take me to learn guitar? Well, anywhere from conservatively 4 weeks to 4 years. Okay? And it's true, because if 100 of us stood in a line and we were asked to pick up a rock, throw it up in the air, and hit it with a little thin stick. Simple, right? Some people would hit that right away. And a lot of people would be working on that for days, if not weeks, before they could throw that rock up and hit it. And maybe even longer if they can do it on a consistent basis. See my point? We're all different. We all learn different. We all learn at different speeds. So when I went from playing to singing, huge. It was like I forgot everything I did, and I was an idiot again. But not for long, right? Once I realized that if I'm going to sing, this has to be not only ingrained in my sleep, but I got to play it as simple as possible. Still sound good. Okay? So, for example, I could not play over a walk up or a walk down. So if I had a song that went, I know that you'll be there for me, and I will be there for you. That ain't happening. Okay, so think about it now. I'm adding a fourth ball because I'm singing, I'm playing, right? So I've got my 1 ball, my 2 ball, my singing is my 3rd ball, and now I'm singing over an unnatural movement, which is, I haven't done that before. So now all of a sudden, I'm dropping the balls. So I got to try to, you see my point? And that's the only way that I can explain it, because there's no downloadable link. You can't download this and say, oh, now I can sing and play. Or you can't buy a course and go, oh, now I sing and play. No matter what you do to get your information, you got to do it. You got to apply it. And those are just things that help me. So I hope it helps you. I don't know what canon is. Yeah. Okay. So, it is. I know it is. But keep going. Keep going with the singing. In fact, do something, even if you're not. So let's say you started singing, knock, 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 and you just can't get it. No problem. Do this. Go into Do that. It's something. You're not pronouncing, but you're doing something over and above playing the guitar. So you're starting to get your brain forced to allocate some RAM to what you're doing. Windows does it automatically. We have to tell our brain, hey, we want to strum with left, or strum with right, chord with left. We want to sing over the chords. So so your brain goes, okay, I got you. Okay, so it's going to be a little rough at first, but we'll get there. That's all I can really give you for that. Yeah. So the Christmas tune, Dennis. All right. So you are. All right. If you are going to play these Christmas tunes in front of people, all you got to do is sing the first few words. Everybody will kick in, and you just play guitar. Okay? It's a bit of a gamble, but only you know the crowd and you know what you want to do. But if you are looking to learn Christmas songs so you can sit around some family around Christmas time and They got the eggnog going, and you go silent night. There's a good chance before you get to the next word, people are starting to sing. Just like if you're out somewhere or you're at a party and you break into, I don't know, right? People are going to start singing because they know that song, and they're going to start right away. Okay? It takes the pressure off of you. Hello, Jane's Piss. I don't know how that's. Not sure about that. 4 years and sometimes think I sounded bad. Well, you know what? That could be, Randy. And one of the one of the reasons is, remember, like every time you learn something, you kind of go down a notch because it makes you sound not as good as what you were doing because you're learning a new technique. So that should only be temporary. But yeah, that happens sometimes because you're probably playing more stuff now and different stuff and more maybe harder or complicated, or you're using a different technique, or you're playing in triads or bar chords instead of open chords, or whatever the case may be. So it's almost like a new part of your learning. And every time, even though our journey goes up and up and up, every time we learn something new, we either flatline or we kind of take a step back because of that whole. And it's really not until, and this is what I tell people all the time, because this is how I relate to it, because it happened to me. In your first, I'm going to say a couple of years, but it could be any amount. It could be 6 months or it could be 5 years. In those first couple of years, right, you're still not, you're not 100%, but you're getting comfortable. But you're still not 100%. So that when you go to learn something, ooh, I don't have the experience and the skills, and I don't sound very good. But once you get to a level where everything is just, even though you're just playing open chords, you got that guitar foundation, you got that confidence. Now it gets a little easier to learn. In fact, some people just pick it up a new. Let's learn bar chords. Oh, hour later they're playing most of their bar chords because they got it figured out. They got the hand placement, they got the finger strength, they got the confidence, they got that continuity between these two hands, the guitar foundation, left hand and right hand, even though it's a different shape. And that's all you got to learn is the shape. This is going to do the same. But being forced to learn a new shape also slows down this hand because your brain, remember the computer that slows down when it has to do too much? Your brain is hyper focused on that new shape. It might neglect your strumming, it might neglect your singing for just a little while until you figure it out. And then your brain adapts, and now it's giving you enough power to play that new bar chord and strum it like you used to strum your C chord, right? Because this hand don't really care what you play. It's going to do whatever it's going to do. But it's your brain that says, oh, wait a minute, right hand, slow down because I don't know how to make a G bar chord or an A bar chord. Slow down. That's what's happened, right? But as you progress, that should quickly smooth itself out, okay? I think it's Dennis D. Young. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, Randy. Sticks, I think you're thinking of Dennis DeYoung, but close. Uh, oh yeah, now, somebody's okay. I see these things popping up. Everybody has like a crown, and I don't really know what that's all about. But somebody told me about some stickers, or I don't know what it is. I don't know anything about these stickers. You're welcome to use them. I think I don't know if it's something, it could be a revenue or a support way to support the channel that you purchase stickers. I don't know how that works. If you have purchased these stickers, thank you so much. If there are, It's how many comments you have. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. But someone said something about buying stickers. Someone said something about you can buy stickers to support the channel or something. So if someone has done that, and I don't know if I'm supposed to give you priority or I'm sorry, I don't know how this works, but I do say thank you. Yeah. Um, it is difficult, and a lot of people don't realize that. Um, yeah, a lot of people don't realize that it is difficult. This is not an easy thing to do. It can be made easy quickly, but you got to put a lot of time in. And I mean, I admit I was ferocious at first. I mean, I was playing all the time because I knew people that played and they couldn't help me because they just didn't know. Like they didn't really know how to communicate these things. But the one thing they all said, you got to play every day. And I think no matter where you get your information, if it's not all from me, you probably have different sources. I think the one thing we all have in common is that you got to play every day. Now, it doesn't mean you have to play every day the rest of your life. It means that when you're starting out, you've got to play every day. You've got to develop that sense of touch and feel and confidence. When I first put a guitar in my hand, well, you might as well have been putting a pickup truck in my lap. Like it was just so overwhelming. Like everything was overwhelming. Now, like I don't even know I got my guitar here. Like it's just so natural feeling. And that's just an evolution, right? So all I ever as people know, all I ever talk about here and all I ever put in my videos are things that related and pertain to me and how I dealt with them, what worked for me, what didn't work for me. When I used the book, when I threw the book out the window. That may be different for you, okay? But the overall big picture message here that I give is don't be governed by other people or the book. Don't be governed or obligated to learn something because someone tells you you need to. You only need to learn something or play a certain way if it suits you and what you want to accomplish. And those are the things that you should be investigating and practicing, not what he says or she says, because that just might not be, not only it might not work for you mentally because you don't really vibe it, but it might not work for you physically. You may have some ailments, right? Like I got a wrist issue. I've got some arthritis in my knuckles. The back of my hand tends to get a little swelly and tingly if I play too many bar chords too soon. Things like that, where others of you are, that's not an issue. So I think you've got to understand that everybody's different, okay? And the philosophy is the same. Strum your chords, learn a bit of timing, make sure that you understand beats in a bar and how many beats are in the G and the beats that are in the C or how many bars are in C and G. Start playing songs. Use your intuition to understand the timing of those songs when you have to change chords. These are all things that we all do. It's just that a lot of us are approach it differently. That's all. You know, so whatever works for you, right? Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Sticks member. And as Randy said, you do a pretty good job with your band as well. So that's good. When I when I think of Lorelei, my head, is it? My head turns all around. Tonight's the night she's moving in, and I can hardly wait. And as he moves, Styx were big. Man, when I was a teenager, they were huge. They had those two albums, like almost back, it seemed like back to back. Was it Crystal Ball or something, or Crystal Palace or something like that? Grand Illusion, something like that. I don't know. There's those ring a bell. They had that one song, when it starts out slow and "Come Sail Away," right? But thanks, Jay's allotment diary. Where do you guys get these names from? Equinox, you got it. Oh, I am old, buddy. You got that right. Um, Actually, I now pass the crown to someone even older. If you remember when Tommy Shaw joined the band, you get the oldest crown there, buddy. Because I'm pretty sure he was in the band when I started listening to them. So, yeah, it is crazy that they are still together. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they were one of those bands. They did have some internal strife. They did actually, I think they threw someone out or someone got fired or someone quit. Um, uh, oh, 19, nice. So that was Styx at the top of their game, and actually REO Speedwagon too. They had some killer songs back in the day. That guy's still going too, the guy from REO. Now, what I was saying about Styx, I know they did have some internal strife, but yes, you're right. I think the three guys are together, or three or four or three. And I think one of the reasons may have been, like some bands, they shared everything. So they pretty much approached songwriting as a collaboration. So even if I had come in with the idea and the chord structure of a song, it still takes the bass player and the drummer and the keyboard player to add parts and riffs to make it sound right. And their attitude, I think, like you too, was, hey, then we're all in this together. So not only do we get any money from the record company through sales and all that, but we also split equally all the touring money and all the merchandising money and songwriting credits and publishing. And if that song is in a movie, then we all split that. And I think that's leads to harmony for the most part. And I think you'll find, if you really take a deep dive into this, that some of the great bands that have broken up and can't stand each other, and we all hear it, they're coming to, oh, I'm not coming if he's going to be there and all this kind of stuff, are generally bands that did the whole Jagger Richards thing. So they're putting albums out, but there's only two writers, because those writers, I think Eagles were the same, at least towards the end, and because they understood that having your name on that record is extra dough that the others don't get. So in some bands, you had people literally bumming cigarette money, but your singer shows up in a Ferrari, and that's never going to be good, right? So, anyways. Geez, that whole Styx things blew up, eh? We're still going. Eagles, yeah. Beatles did the same. Lennon, McCartney, right? And the only thing I'll say about the really old bands, nobody knew the value of publishing back then. Like nobody really, not many people understood that, you're all going to get paid. But if your name is in the brackets under the title on the 45, you're getting extra money. And it took a while for people to realize this. And I think bands that came in after, or ones that were there, the good ones, in my opinion, adapted that and said, okay, let's be more equal. And then some didn't. Like you said, the Beatles, I don't think it. I mean, later on, I think George got a couple of songs on some of the later albums. Was it Rubber Soul or Let It Be or whatever, the last Abbey Road or whatever? I think he got some. I think they pretty much had to. But other than that, it was Lennon and McCartney, right? So, and, it's usually Fry and Henley all the way through. I mean, we're not in the room, but Felder wrote Hotel California, arguably one of their biggest hits. But when it came out, I'm pretty sure all of their names are on it. Or their three names are on it. So Fry, I don't know why he would be on it, because Henley, or not Henley, Felder, it's been proven, came in with the whole song, the music of the whole song. Now, if anybody, I guess Henley, because he wrote the lyrics, and Felder admits that. I don't know what Fry's contribution was, but I think because they were joined at the hip at that time, that's the way it worked. So, stuff like that's going to be, what was that? The album actually wasn't bad. So I would have been about 18 at the time it came out, was the Black Album after Hotel. The Long Run, I think it was called. They had some pretty good songs on that. I think Joe Walsh put a song on there. I think he was the guy. Well, there's another example. Everybody admits that pretty much Joe Walsh was the inspiration for Life in the Fast Lane. But somehow that all got Henley and Fried, right? So, because I don't think it's just Joe Walsh's name on that song. I know he brought his own songs into the band that they do live, but I'm talking about on albums. And I everybody acknowledges that it was Joe Walsh that came up with the riff for Life in the Fast Lane, and pretty much the instrumentation of how it's going to go, the arrangement. So Tequila Sunrise, as far as I know, that would have been a Henley Fry, but it also sounds like it could have been a Randy Meisner tune, but I would say like it just everything seemed to be Fry and Henley, but that would have been from their earlier days. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's Glenn Fry, because I think he sings on it, right? Yeah, and generally I think their rule in their band was if you wrote it, you sing it. Of course, except for Don Henley or for Don Felder, and I think Felder wrote another Eagles song that got sort of chewed up too by the other two. And it could have been Victim of Love. Someone just mentioned Victim of Love. It could have been that song. But, I think, but that's, to me, if I'm in a band and I find out I'm doing as much work as him and sometimes more, what if you're the singer of that band, but you're not the songwriters? And they pull that stuff. So here you are. The singer is always the face of the band. And here you are every night out in the front, and you are the voice of those songs. And the checks get handed out, and you get your check, and Buddy on the drums and Buddy on the keyboard, their checks are 5 times bigger than yours because they wrote the songs. That's going to cause all kinds of internal strife. I don't care what you do. What if you were, you're a gardener or you're a construction worker, and you find out the guy working next to you is making 3 times the money doing the same job? It's going to lead to some dissension, right? So, yeah, we're actually just wrapping it up. Sorry, maybe go someone there's plenty of people here that are playing cover songs and they'll take your requests. I don't do that. Sorry. So yeah, tell your friend he can pretty much move on. Yeah, actually, I know that's what it says, but I'm pretty sure that's a Glenn Fry song, and they were buddies at the beginning, and I'm pretty sure that they just did the Lennon-McCartney. If Lennon's song, McCartney got added to it. If it was McCartney's song, Lennon got added. I think that was the deal they had, to be honest, but I might be wrong. I know the other fellow that was in the band, Bernie Ledden, he was an early major contributor, and he said the same thing. I think it was one of his books, or he wrote a book or something, and I remember reading that, It's pretty shitty knowing that you're doing the same, if not more, than the other guy, but they're all making more money and blah, 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 and, whatever. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, Steve Perry did write some songs in that actually him and, was it Neil Sean or it was somebody, and Perry was credited, when he came in and started writing songs, that's when, in my opinion, that's when they became over the top, right? But before then, they were a decent band, but they didn't really have any oomph. And then he came in and contributed those small handful of songs over those couple of albums, and just, it took them mainstream. But before that, yeah, I don't think he was writing right away. But anyways. All right, everybody. So we covered today about the pick or no pick. And again, it's completely up to you how you proceed. I kind of gave you both ends of things. And for you early players that are feeling a little bit harsh on the pick, try putting the pick down and try using your thumb or any style of finger picking. You can use mine, which is the thumb and forefinger, or you can use the proper way to Travis pick. Right? Whatever works for you. Kansas, yes. Dust in the Wind. Carry On Our Wayward Son. Yeah, great song. Great band. They had their see, yeah, exactly, Randy. I'm the same as you. These are the songs, these are the type of songs and the era from where those songs were from. Like, I don't have any really inclination to learn guitar to play Everly Brothers, as great as they are. I love, and they're pretty simple to play. They're not easy to sing, but they're simple to play. They're usually 3 chords, A, E, D kind of thing. That kind of arrangement or that kind of chord structure. They're but I didn't have a desire. But now you to start talking about, Elton John songs from the 70s, or Cat Stevens, or, James Taylor, or Jim Croce, bands like Kansas, Eagles. These are the songs that stuck with me, throughout my life. And when I started to realize that I might be able to learn guitar and I might want to do it, these are the songs exactly that inspired me, to play. So, yeah, the heavy-handed will go away and the timing will improve, okay? Whether you use a metronome or not. You can work on timing without a metronome. Remember, timing is what you make it. So what I mean is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All that timing does is dictate the distance between the notes or strums. That's it. So this timing is different to this timing. This is, 150 beats a minute, and the other one is 65, 70 beats a minute. Okay? They're different, but it's timing. So anybody that wants to play with me on this song has to adjust to 70 beats a minute. Now, that might seem easy or hard, and it's both. Because at the end of the day, what you want to do is get to the point where you can listen to someone playing and kind of have a good idea that that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, this is going to be about 100, 110 beats a minute. Then you can go in with that, okay, and you can figure it out. In my opinion, whether or not you used a metronome for a few months back in the day or didn't is going to have no bearing, really, on whether or not you can listen to someone 4 years later in your journey and go, oh, I can't play along unless I got a metronome here. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. You should be able to listen and go, okay, he's playing at about this many beats per minute. I'm going to match him. And even if you're off, you should be within 10 seconds kind of saying, hey, I'm a little quick on the chord changes, back it off a little bit, turn the knob down a bit, and you should be in gear within no time. Okay? So the metronome thing is great, but don't think that because you're not using one or didn't use one that you're a loser or that you're no good, because it's not the case. Okay? Some people need more of that than others. Some people don't need it at all. Just like the whole playing by ear thing, right? Some people are just better at listening and going, you know what? That sounds like it's in C major. I'm going to give, it is in C, you know. They didn't need to put anything. They didn't need a guitar tuner or whatever to tell them what they're playing. And other people do. I need a guitar tuner. I can't sit there and go, oh yeah, that's a C chord. I mean, I think there's a lot in that equation, right? The song that you're listening to, and you kind of put a bunch of things together and think, okay, the way it's, yeah, maybe it's a C or a D. Some people can just listen and go, oh, he's playing D flat. Why are you playing D flat instead of D? What? How'd you know that? You know, there are people like that. But a lot of that stuff is just a load of bullshit, in my opinion. But what are you going to do? But the two comments there about the harshness, that is so normal. And the timing. It is so normal to have timing issues, okay? So just don't beat yourself up about it. Try to establish whatever you're playing on your own, try to establish every chord that you play sounds the same in terms of length, distance between strumming. Okay, so if you're playing a down, down, up, down, up, what you want to do most of the time is make sure that your down, down is the same as your up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, whatever. You got to understand that that's timing. And then again, it's so much more important and only really important if you're playing with someone else who has to match you. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, and has to be exactly like you. Other than that, don't worry about things like timing and the metronome, right? All right, Jays. So if you guys don't know who I am, I'm a nobody, of course. I've always told you that. But I am a somebody that taught themselves to play guitar. Late in life, from the point of what took me 3 years before I finally figured it out, and then in the next few months after those 3 years, I went from, and I'm not blowing any horns here or nothing, I'm just being honest, okay? I went from a lot of the things you guys talk about, hammering on my strings and not playing equal chords, timing stuff, and mishitting chords and all that kind of stuff, and only being able to play certain basic chords. I went from that to writing songs, doing gigs, one-man gigs, to just blossoming to the point where I would go somewhere with a group of people or friends over someone's house for a party, and I'd start playing, and people were like, Ray, what the hell are you doing, bud? Last time I saw you, you could barely whatever. And now, like, you sound amazing. What are you doing? I don't know. But I knew what I was doing, and I'm doing what I'm telling you people. I just took everything down to the spokes, right down, stripped everything down, and rebuilt bit by bit with what I knew and made sure it was polished. Because what I finally and figured out was, like anything, most of the time, you can do way more with much little or much less, okay? So 3 or 4 open chords played flawlessly and creatively, you're going to be much better than the person that plays 10 chords sloppily. Does that make sense? Sloppy, all the time. And once I realized that, Like, I don't need scales. I don't need bar chords. I don't need triads. I don't need power chords. What I need is to be able to sit here and play my open chords really, really good. And that will make everything I sound or play sound really good. And once I figured that out, right, what do I need to do that? Well, you already got the knowledge because you're not a beginner. Like, I've already gone through the G, C, D. I know those chords, so I don't have to worry about that. I know how to transition between those chords. So I just started worrying about my strumming and what I could do to help my strumming and make it sound better so that these chords I can make them sound any way I want. Same chords, but I can make them sound any way I want because I have that thing going here. Now, don't ask me to play the third position of the Meloxian mode of the pentatonic scale. I'm like, what? But guess what? You'll never have to play that unless you are in some bizarre band or in a conservatory school of music and it's on your exam. That's just, to me, that's just waste of time bullshit unless you're going to get or at that level. We're not at that level, folks. I don't want to burst your balloon here. But knowing all these complicated, suspended, and augmented chords are not going to make you a better guitar player. They're just not. You're going to have the same problems playing different chords that you have now playing these chords if you don't build your core. Left, right, ear, brain, strumming, touch, tempo, feeling. That's it. Okay? All right. So again, that's who I am. Just someone who did it and someone who, it's not about, again, what you know. It's how you play what you know. And what the problem is when we teach ourselves guitar, especially using these like me or other people out there on social media, is it's almost like a one-for-all model. Like, it's not tailored to your needs, right? It's, you either fit into the mold or you don't. And there's no solution for those of us that don't. They just carry on that you're fitting the mold all the way up and you're playing by the book. And for many of us, we just can't, or won't do that. So the big thing is when you teach yourself guitar is you have nobody to tap you on the shoulder and say, try this instead. We don't have that. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with this real quick, short example that I put out on a short video, I think the other day, about capos, right? Okay. Randy had said Randy had said something back there about what you said, just something. Sorry, my memory isn't what it was. Let me just see what you had said there. Oh, sorry, you made a comment. I can't think of it now. But anyways, what you don't have is someone to keep you on the path to learn the stuff you need to learn. And most importantly, don't waste time on things you don't need. You're 50, you're 42, you're 63, you're 81. You got to be ultra selective because you only have not only so many hours in your day, because you probably have a job and you got a family and you got obligations and friends and commitments, right? So you only have so many times in the day, and God forbid we only have so long left on this planet. So why would I want, which is what I did, why would I want to spend 6, 8 months trying to learn something that I'll never need in what I want to do with my guitar? If you want to be a jazz player, a classical player, if you want to be a virtuoso arranger, yeah, you're going to need to know all your sus chords, all those augmented chords and those bizarre extensions like CAD 10 slash whatever. Okay, you're going to need to know all that stuff. But that's not what we're about. And once I realized that, so here's the importance of what you're missing when you're on a solo journey. That's what Randy said. He goes, these are some of the songs that inspired me I wanted to learn music. For me, there were a bucket full of those songs. And these two were really, really instrumental. And this is, when I Googled them, this is what I had to do. You don't even know what that song is, I know. And here's the other one I wanted to learn. And that wasn't even right. Now we go do 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 do. And I'm like, I am out of here because I can't do that. And you probably don't even know what those were. I didn't give it the greatest effort, and I was dumbing it down a little bit because that's where I was at in my journey at the time. Trying to learn bar chords, not very well. They were hurting me, and I was not getting, oh yeah, I could go to an A and think, hey, I've nailed it. And then I could go do something else and come back to that A, and it sounds like just absolute dog crap. Okay, that's where I was. So I'm trying to learn these songs, and then I go, you know what? Big deflation. Because one of the reasons I learned guitar was to play these songs. Now I can't play these songs. Like, what am I doing? I must be doing something wrong. All you needed was someone to go, tap you on the shoulder and go, hey, Ray, you see this here? This is called a capo. Now, I know you only know a few open chords. So take your capo, right, and put it on 4. Don't ask why, just put it on 4. So I put it on 4. Right? Now, what was that first song you wanted to learn? Play the chords that you know from the key of C. Just a small town girl living in a lonely world, yeah, right? Yeah, she took the midnight train going anywhere. No bar chords, just results. Now, the purist will say, hey, dude, that is so lame and so lazy. Just learn the bar chords. Well, you know what? To you, because I don't want to learn the bar chords. I ain't got time to learn the bar chords. And my hands are sore when I do bar chords. Or whatever your reason is. Or, you know what? I'm going to play it like this for a year or two. And when I get a good guitar foundation, and when I decide that I'm going to take this hobby further, I'll learn the bar chords. Thank you. Now, the second song that I wanted to play was same thing. Capo 4, okay? Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. It's a classic, right? Sister Golden Hair by America. I grew up with that song. I was dying to play it, and I couldn't. Because nobody told me, Ray, you know all the chords. You just got to put a capo on 4. Okay? So I gave up playing those songs, or wanting to play those songs, because I just figured, you know what? Maybe in 5 years, maybe in 2 years, but I got disillusioned, and that all of this kind of stuff led me into quitting. Again, not once, but twice, because I just wasn't getting it. Okay? Because if I'd have had someone show me that, yeah, it's a cheat. Yeah, call it whatever you want. I really don't care. You're not going to offend me. I've heard it all. But it at least would have got me and kept me inspired. That, wow, I just played Sister Golden Hair. I can't believe I did that. But instead, I got left with, well, this sucks, okay? And it was shortly thereafter I just put it down and I never picked it up again. So, yeah, that's not, Randy, that is so natural. So natural, okay? That you're going to be that way. You know, I was too. Every single day I'd watch YouTube or whatever. I don't know if TikTok was around back then, but YouTube. And I'd see something. And I'd go, wow, is that amazing? I'm going to do that. Thinking in my head that tomorrow morning I'll sound like this guy or this girl that's showing me it. Meanwhile, I didn't realize that, they've probably been playing 10 years, right? Or is this even real? Because I know people that make videos, they make them like they play, then they run it into a DAW, and they add stuff to it, and they make it sound amazing, and then they create a file, and they throw it into a video of them going like this. And you watch it, and you think, oh, man, these people are amazing. But, yeah, but they needed help to sound like that. That's not the way they pick up their guitar. But here you are, not knowing this, picking up your guitar and getting mad at yourself because you don't sound like that. And that's a problem. So, it is what it is, right? So don't be all over the map. Make sure the first thing you do when you want to learn guitar, ask yourself this. Why do I want to learn guitar? If the answer is, I'm 17 and I want to be a professional one day, well, guess what? Start on your 10,000 hours. You got to learn by the book. You got to go to someone and get proper instruction of all the proper things to do. You're going to get into scales and note degrees and all this stuff. You're going to need it. Okay? If your answer is, hey man, I just want to play some of my favorite songs. I want to have fun on a Friday night, play my guitar at the cottage on the weekends, whatever, right? If that's your answer, well, now your journey is completely different to the fellow that wants to be a professional. Because you don't need to know degrees of scales and modes of scales and triads and bar chords and power chords and all this other stuff. You don't need it. You need to learn your open chords and strum them well enough to turn them into songs and see where it leads. And if it goes nowhere else, then the rest of your days, you'll be able to pick up a guitar and kumbaya, power to the people, mama don't take this badge from me, I'm just rocking along. 25 years, my life is still ba 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 ba. Right? That's all you need. And you are the life of the party, and you are rocking your inner soul. Because it's the most rewarding thing you're ever going to teach yourself to do. I would assume something like painting, like to be able to sit there and recreate something that's in front of you using paints, whether you put an abstract on it or you paint it like a photograph, that would be, to me, extremely rewarding. This is right up there. I don't think of many things I've done in my life that I've taught myself that are as rewarding as this, that just keep giving back, giving back, giving back. And I use it for therapy. I use it for creativity. I use it for boredom. I use it for imagination. I use it for to stroke my ego. I use it for a lot of things, right? And it's priceless. So the time I put into it, I don't regret it one bit. And it was that day that I realized that I didn't have to know all this fancy crap that was holding me back. it was like I threw off the monkey. The wings were done. And I just started playing open chords. And within months, I'm playing all these songs. I'm amazing my friends. Then I started going to open mics and writing songs. And it was just, it hasn't stopped. So, anyways, that's my story, right? Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. If you like what you hear, you think I can help, go through my library. There's, I don't know, there's 450 videos. Not all are going to pertain to you and where you're at. They're not fancy videos, okay? I sit down on the camera and I do it. That's it. They are going to get better as my computer skills improve, but they are what they are. But they're very helpful because they explain things in the way we talk, not musician talk. I don't assume that you know what I'm talking about. I assume you don't know. And when I was starting out, everyone that I watched assumed that I had a certain level of musicianship in me. So they didn't really dumb things down and explain things the way I needed them to be explained, to understand. So I try to do that. Sometimes it adds more talking, sometimes it's a little longer, but I get the point over, okay? So it all depends on what you're looking for. The last thing I ask is if you appreciate it, please hit the subscribe button. I'm a small channel, so when people hit subscribe, it really kind of hopefully shows YouTube that maybe I'm a somebody, I'm not, but YouTube can think that, okay, that I'm a somebody. And that's really it. It's a way to say thank you. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you again soon. I do have a strumming video I'm working on. It will be out shortly, a full-length strumming video that will really, really break down the components of strumming and really, I think, kind of help for those of you that need it moving forward, okay? So keep an eye for that. If you hit subscribe, you'll get notified when I post it, and we'll see you soon. All right? See you later, guys. And girls, of course. All right, see everybody. Hopefully I was right-handed today, not left-handed like usual. It's a little bit of a hassle, but I think I figured it out. But thanks again, and we'll see you again in a couple of days.